Welcome. I am calling the Board of Election meeting to order. Everyone should have received your minutes for the regular board meeting and the closed session meeting of December the 29th. Are there any corrections? Okay, seeing none, I need someone to make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, Mary Louise made the motion. I need someone to second it.
Okay,
Okay, Michael will second it. Let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, it's been passed. Reports from board members. Does anyone have anything they want to report? Seeing none, we'll go to new business. The first order of new business is a vote to go into closed session following the regular meeting. Michael, may I have a motion?
Yes, I move that we go into closed session. And you need me to read the,
Yes.
Just
all right,
the
okay, I see it,
first
yeah.
one. Yeah, you don't have to read anything below it, just the first one.
Okay. I move that we go into closed session to discuss the appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, discipline, demotion, compensation, removal, resignation, or performance evaluation of appointees, employees, or officials over whom this public body has jurisdiction, or any other personnel matter that affects one or more specific individuals.
May I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, Susan Thomas. Let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? It has passed. Okay, the next thing is the approval public demonstration of voting machines. Shannon, that's yours.
All right. So as you may recall, the Electech Services Inc. Provided the city with the new electronic voting machines for the first time during the election year of 2019. For this reason, the public demonstration was held to provide voters with an opportunity to learn how to use them prior to Election Day. I recommend the board have a discussion regarding the public demonstration. During this discussion, I ask that you consider the COVID pandemic, as this may prevent the city from holding this event. I did want to note that during the last one, I know you guys weren't directly involved, and you as judges, you did the actual demonstration when we did our election meeting. But during the public demonstration part of it, we may have had about 3 people show up. So it really wasn't that many. We do have to pay for this service. So that's why I wanted to have a discussion with all of you to see if you feel we need to have it again. I know you guys were directly working with everyone during the election process. So, I mean, if you saw anyone who struggled or anything like that, if you think that we need to bring this back again, I just wanted your feedback.
How about if we made like a little video and they could go on the Westminster page, Westminster government page, and see how to do it?
That's a good idea.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, very good.
Idea.
We may even have, I feel like someone did video at the last demonstration, but I'll check on that. I feel like we had someone do something. I'll check on that and see, but yeah, that's a great idea. And
Are
then-
these the
and they-
same, are these the same machines that are used for the general election?
I don't think so.
So
No.
people are not really accustomed to them yet then.
Right, right.
Okay.
These are just the voting machines that we used during the last election.
Okay.
I
So,
don't recall a lot of, I don't recall people being very confused. I mean, I remember, Wendy, where we were, I mean, but I don't think this would change. There might have been 1 or 2 voters who needed some assistance. Someone who was very elderly and I think had a little trouble with it. We may have had someone who was either blind or deaf. I can't remember, but
Mhm.
I think during the time period that I walked up to the machine, I would just point to tell them what to do. And then as I recall, there was a green button at the end.
Mhm.
And I don't think we had any real problem. If you recall, there was one point where our numbers didn't quite add up and we wondered if someone didn't push the green button.
Right.
But I
Mhm.
think, am I remembering correctly, the judge can actually look from the back to see if it has been recorded? Like,
Yes, I
Yeah.
think so.
Somehow that got corrected, and I know that, so they'll still send a text out in case we have any issues again. And I believe the tech at the time, I think he helped, because I knew we called him out right away to help you guys. And I'm pretty sure he helped guide us through that, because I know by the end of the night when we did the numbers, everything checked out.
Mhm.
Mhm.
and
I
it
think that was
fine.
magic, though. I really do, because it was like it was short all day and then suddenly, boom.
Yeah, yeah, I think
Remember,
he did
please don't be off by one vote for some
Yeah,
election.
no,
Oh,
I think
oh,
there
that's
was
awful.
something he was able to do on his end, and he was able to figure it out.
Was okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, because I do remember that problem being solved, because we were worried about it, but I do remember us calling him out, and he was able to fix whatever the situation was.
Mhm.
So yeah, because I know even when we did our audit with the county, it was fine. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Well,
Okay.
Shannon,
Oh, go ahead.
if we do a little video of it, if we send a card out to everybody to remind them about the election, could we put that on there? You know, please see the demo on Westminster Gov page.
We could, yep.
Mhm. Mhm. Isn't it really the chief judge's job, though, to assist the people in the machine if they need it?
Yeah, I think
So
that's what we
the
did
chief-
last election.
And the chief judges should be the ones who are familiar with it and know what to do.
Yeah, because I feel like the feedback in general was just that everyone felt this was easier than
Mhm.
it was in the past. Like
Yeah.
I don't recall anyone actually having a difficult time with it.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of the feedback I got was that everyone thought the machines were so much easier.
Mhm. Well, I've been doing this since, I was thinking about it this morning, since 2003, and we've always used the curtain. You know, you pull the lever and the curtain goes around you.
Yes, the antique machines.
So this last election was really the first time that we've
Yeah.
used something other than that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep. Okay, so if you guys are good with that, we don't really need a vote on it because you're not voting to keep the public demonstration. So following this meeting, I will then connect with Elect Tech and let them know the changes so that they can make it on the contract, and remove the public demonstration.
Yeah, why should we pay for that service when we really don't need it?
Exactly. Yeah, and we'll still have, so during the election day itself, we'll have the 2 voting machines at each polling place. And then an additional machine just in case we need backup,
Yeah,
which is how we've done it all years past.
right.
So, okay,
Okay.
so demonstration.
But those are two good suggestions, to make a video and to advertise it on our public advertising
Yes. Yeah.
that
I
it's
think so,
available.
too. Yep.
Mhm.
Susan, can you mute yours?
Huh?
Can you mute yours until your machine is over? Okay,
She's okay. I can barely hear it.
okay.
Okay. So that's all I needed on that item.
Okay, so let's go to unfinished business. Follow-up discussion, submission deadline of absentee ballot. Shannon.
All right, so during our last meeting on December 29th, we discussed the ordinance, and I believe it was Michael pointed out that and shared concerns about the language about the absentee ballots, where it stated at least 24 hours before the election to request a ballot will be given a ballot. I did talk to the city attorney for clarification. Her thought process and concerns were that she was afraid by doing it the Monday prior, was going to just cram us and cause a lot of like, for being the first time that we're moving it up, she was just concerned about the deadline being so close to the election day.
You mean the day before, the Monday? The
Mhm.
day before?
Yeah, the day before the election.
Yeah, okay.
So when someone comes in with an absentee ballot, if they come in person, I would go through, I actually look to make sure they're registered, because I will actually have the registration books from the county at that point, the voter registration books. I then go through that book and I have to write down that they requested an absentee ballot and go through the whole 9 yards. And then I hand it to them at that point. It's all in a sealed envelope like you normally would do. They
Mhm.
do hand it to them once I can confirm everything. And then they would normally take it home, mail it back in, or bring it back to me. So that was her concern. Of course, the absentee ballots are not due until before the polling places are actually closing. During my meeting yesterday, or the forum that I attended, it was a virtual election forum with other municipal clerks. I actually, one of the things that we discussed was vote by mail and absentee ballots. A lot of the clerks were saying, because some of them have actually already had elections during the pandemic, so some of them were actually saying that they encouraged absentee ballots during the election because they didn't have the funding in their budgets to provide the vote by mail. So that's what they did, because theirs was so last minute for some of them. Like some of them were last May. Like 'cause there's some that actually have an election each year. There was one that was done last November. So they were trying to find a solution very, very quick. So that's what they did, is they actually sent out advertisements and things like that and really encouraged people. And they said their numbers were actually up because by encouraging that, they had more submissions for absentee ballots. So actually, they said they actually had a higher number of voters by doing that. So that would be an option. So I feel like if we decide that we want to encourage that, and I still will look at the vote by mail, which is actually, there's another session on February 4th, where we're going to actually go over the vote by mail. So that way we can hear from the clerks who have had that experience, and they can actually teach us about it and how exactly what they did and the company they used and all of that. So, that will definitely be our session for February 4th. But if we also choose, if we decide to do both, or if we only move forward with the absentee ballots and encouraging everyone to do that, my thought is I could certainly go to the mayor and common council, see if they would consider amending the ordinance again to state, to have the voters register, apply for the absentee ballots by 4:30 on the day prior to the election day. So it's something you guys can definitely think about. If you want to discuss it now, it's completely up to you. But I just wanted to throw in that option. We can wait until I have my forum on February 4th. But you guys let me know. We do have some time, thankfully, to do this. So
I have a question.
sure.
Just make sure that I understand the distinction we're making here. So there's a discussion of a possibility of vote by mail. That, do I understand correct? That would mean the city would have to send everyone a ballot, correct? And it would be returned by mail?
My understanding, and again, on February 4th, I'll learn more.
Okay.
My understanding is they would request it, just as they would the absentee ballot.
So what's
They
the,
have to
what's,
request it.
So
Then
what's
the
the difference?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I
There's
was
really
wondering.
not that much of a difference. There's really not.
So we should
And
just
someone
do,
can still, right, and I don't know the cost either. So of course, we'll factor all that in. And again, I will definitely learn more on February 4th. To me, in the discussions we had yesterday, it didn't sound like there was that big of a difference.
Mhm.
yeah, that's what, yeah, this came
And
up, I know in the,
say that 100% not knowing because I've never done it. So,
I know this was an issue in the fall elections in different states. I kept, there was a lot of confusion over whether some places actually had a difference between vote by mail and absentee and some didn't.
yeah.
So I would love to have some clarification on exactly what they mean.
Well,
That's
we
a
can meet
much
after,
too. Yeah,
after the forum that I have on February 4th, we could certainly set up another meeting.
okay, you can,
I can share
uh,
information with you.
But remember too, that at least with us, not us, but with Carroll County, they had the mailbox. So you could always put your absentee right in there any day you wanted.
Right, and that will be the other thing. If we do decide to move forward with that, I would definitely need to make sure that we have an absentee ballot box that is secure and stationed somewhere around our building so that someone can drop it off.
yeah, because you really cannot get inside that building any longer.
So here's the problem, and this is where I'm going to discuss it with staff. So if we move in March, actually it wouldn't be a problem. So we would actually just station it. I'll just have to see exactly where on the new building we could actually put a ballot box.
Mhm.
How exactly that should work. I will definitely get with staff members and figure out exactly who I need to talk to about that and what we can do.
Is
Yeah.
that bank still going to be there? Don't they have like a slot that you could put things in there? Could you put maybe the absentee ballot in that slot?
I
That goes
don't
into
know. I think all that was removed.
The
Okay,
ATM part, yeah.
The drive-through and everything was removed, so I don't think they have that any there anymore. I honestly don't feel comfortable with that. I'd
Okay.
rather be going into an actual box
Sure.
I don't blame
and
you.
that is locked and secure. I don't feel comfortable with it just going into a slot, especially if something happens, it jams up or something, it doesn't go in right. I mean, you figure some people put their social security numbers on there so we can verify it's them.
Well, that's true, right.
You know,
Mhm.
I don't feel comfortable with that.
Would it be like the box that's up there now? I just went and paid my water bill a
The
few
water
days
bill,
ago
yes,
and stuck it in the box because you can't
yes,
get inside any longer.
correct. So
Okay.
it would be something like that. I'm just wondering if it would not be best to have a separate box for the absentee ballots, just to be sure they don't get mixed in with the other, like all the water bills and stuff that are going in there. I don't know how much
Mhm.
they receive, especially with the office actually being closed. I don't know how much they're receiving daily, so I don't want that to be mixed up. I would prefer a separate box just for voters.
I wonder
And
if
they
you
would-
could talk, sorry, if you could talk to Catherine Berry or the mayor on the election, if they could maybe even lend us one of those boxes.
It's
That's
possible.
what I was
Yeah.
thinking too, Wendy.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry?
That's what I was thinking also,
Oh,
that maybe they could lend us one of their boxes.
because they don't have elections the same time.
right.
It would have to be very secure and attached to something too.
Right.
Mhm.
So it can't be tampered with or taken
Right.
away.
And I think we'd also want to have it somewhere where it's under a constant video surveillance. I imagine there's some of those cameras right now outside the building, but that box has to be in front of them.
Yeah,
So-
that's a good, right.
Well, and if I can picture it right, I think we're keeping the foyer area where you walk right into the doors, and it's like you're not actually in the lobby yet, but it's like the foyer area. Where
Mhm.
you
Yeah,
first
that's,
walk into doors. I think we're keeping that, but I'm not 100% sure on that. So I'll double check on all of that, because if that's the case, then we could put it right inside of there, and people can only drop them off on certain hours.
The new building you're talking about.
Yes, when those
Yeah.
doors
I
are
don't know if I like certain hours though. I sort of like it where they can drop it off whenever they want.
right, but I'm just trying to think of the security side of it. If
Okay.
there's nowhere else for me to put it,
Mhm.
and we want to make sure it's secure, that might be the only other option. So,
Okay.
and of course, on election day, we'll just have to handle it differently to make sure that they can hand it off on, before the polling place is actually closed. Now, I'm there all day, and I've actually gone into the office, while the election's going on, to check my voice messages and all that. So I would just check that box and make sure those doors
Mhm.
stay open.
Mhm.
But I need to double check on that because I can't remember exactly how that's set up.
Mhm.
So I can certainly look into it.
Yeah, well, you can let us know after your February 4th meeting.
Yep, I can
Got all
certainly
that.
do that.
Yeah.
One more clarification, especially if it was vote by mail specifically. We're not doing this, this is in addition to the in-place polling, or would we be doing it entirely by mail or absentee? Like which one of these are we thinking we're actually doing both?
What we probably would actually do both. I think legally we have to offer both. I think. But again, I'll learn all that on February 4th we'll talk more when we go into our
Mhm.
next item under update
Oh.
election 2021. I definitely have some more things I need to run by you guys. So we'll definitely cover that a little bit more down there.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Mhm.
So we're done that one? Okay.
We are
So
done.
update attendance of the virtual election roundtable forums. Shannon.
So as I mentioned earlier, I attended the virtual election forum. I found the forum to be very informative, and this provided time for everyone in attendance to either share the election experience during the pandemic or share their questions and concerns for those who have elections coming up in the spring. As I also mentioned above, I'm going back into the absentee ballots. I think we actually covered all that. Primary reason. Okay, yes. So we actually just covered all of that about the absentee ballots and the vote by mail. Another topic was the filing of candidates. I questioned how other municipalities did their announcements once candidates have filed. I learned that some did not have language in their code regarding the announcements. Instead, on their declaration of candidacy form, they included an area where the candidate could provide consent to make their announcement public once they were certified and everything checked out where they qualify as a candidate. And then there was also another area where it provided permission to share the candidate's email and telephone number only to reporters. So of course it would not be shared publicly. It would only be shared to reporters who wanted to get in contact with them about, them running as a candidate. So I just wanted to provide you with an update on that. I know we talked in the past about changing that, and we may need to address this during the next election. But what I was thinking is if we decide or we move forward with absentee ballot of the deadline, I could ask about going ahead and changing that. So I know we've already started receiving the forms for everyone to file. But I mean, the deadline's not here yet, so I could circle back around with the candidates who have filed, have them fill out that form, and then we can move forward from there if you guys want me to go that route.
I think it makes sense that you give that information out. Anybody?
So I
No?
think it'd be a simple amendment, as long as it's in our ordinance. And I can't remember offhand if it's in the ordinance or the charter, so I'm gonna double check on where the wording is. So
Is the issue just the date that we release the information, or?
Yeah,
Okay,
because it's not public information right away.
okay,
But I have here that April 12th is the announcement of the candidates.
It is, yeah.
By
So we
mayor
can't
and
actually
council.
share who the candidates are or anything. They can actually share it.
Yeah,
Cannot.
but
like,
we can't announce it until the 12th.
correct.
And that'll be the official announcement at the council meeting.
Correct.
Okay.
So I think when they get their packets, maybe you should say that something like, we cannot, but please feel free to promote, whatever, publicize.
But some have been in the paper already.
Well, and
Right.
so this year I did, I don't know if you recall or not, but in the actual candidate packet, I provided a calendar, and in the calendar, it actually states when they're going to be announced.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's what I have, the election calendar right here.
so we can change, I can ask about changing it this election. If it seems like it's going to be too much to do, especially since we already started accepting the declaration of candidacy, we could certainly just make sure that we make that change in the future. I think it would be a pretty easy change from what I gathered from
Mhm.
some of the other clerks. It doesn't sound like it takes much to change it, and I really don't see anybody objecting to it.
do other municipalities do this? It seems, it actually seems a little odd to me, like, once they've declared their candidacy, that it's kept, secret.
Yeah.
Do other municipalities announce them all at once?
No, a lot of
No.
most of them, yes, most of them that I have talked to, I can't speak for everyone, but most of the ones that I have spoken to do release the names immediately.
Mhm.
Yeah, it seems,
But
it seems like an odd thing. I don't,
Yeah.
I mean, I
I-
wonder why we do it.
And yeah, I don't know where it stemmed from or anything like that. I don't know, but yeah.
I guess it just to make an official announcement from us,
Mhm.
because the candidates themselves are free to put it anywhere. aren't
Correct.
they? I mean, they can put it in the
Yes,
paper, in the radio,
There's
or TV.
stipulations for them.
Yeah,
Yep.
they're free to do any of their advertising.
But it seems to me we could have it both ways, couldn't we? I mean, that it becomes public as soon as they declare, but that there can be a specific meeting where the city council announces the slate of candidates.
And I feel like that should happen still. That,
Yeah.
that,
Mhm.
Yeah,
it
I
still
agree.
has to be
Yeah,
announced. Because it just kind of, it kind of goes together. I mean, the
Yeah.
deadline cuts off, and then we confirm, like, these are our final candidates.
yeah, it should
Yeah,
be.
I don't,
Last minute, we have had last minute people come in and say, I definitely want to file,
Mhm.
So I think that would be helpful.
yeah, I don't see why it has to be secret before that day, though. That's the part I'm puzzled by.
Right, and we're still providing them with the option. So if they don't want it announced until the announcement, that's fine. We're giving them that option.
Okay.
So
But it can't come from any of us. We cannot talk about it
that's correct.
until it's officially announced on April 12th.
That is
Right.
correct. As
Yeah.
of now, yes.
Yeah.
It seems to me if we do change this, though, I don't think I would want to be in the position where a bunch of candidates have released their information, but we're in the position of keeping a secret about some candidate. It almost feels
No,
like,
if they've signed this paper saying that we can publicly go ahead and announce their name,
yeah,
then we can talk about it. It's just where we stand right now, we're not supposed to talk about it.
no, I understand that. I just think if we change it, I think it should be I don't know what others think of this, but my opinion would be that if we change this, I think that the name should be public as soon as they declare their candidacy. That they're turning in the form should be an acknowledgement that it is public. Because
Right.
otherwise,
Right, and when someone does hand that in, I do make sure that they're a registered voter. And I do make sure that they meet all the qualifications according to the charter. And then that's, of course, what I come back to share with you guys to confirm that they are qualified. So, because we have had some in the past who have filed and they ended up not actually living within the city limits.
Mm.
So they were on the borderlines. They honestly weren't sure. And so they didn't qualify. So of course we wouldn't want to announce them the moment they file. I feel better always looking into it and then confirming it that they meet all the criteria before we would actually make that announcement.
Yeah, well, as you know, my son-in-law, Tony, is one of the candidates. And when people say to me, oh, is Tony running again? Do I say, I can't tell you that.
Yes,
You cannot.
Yeah,
No.
I can't talk about it
Right.
until April.
Yes.
but you can if he has, right? As long as he has said it, no?
Well,
No,
as long as
it's not our position to say a word.
Huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
so
right.
It's
he
not our
announces it, take the
position.
piece of paper and say, here, you read this. I
Yeah.
can't.
okay, well, why don't you
It is
ask him?
not, it is not our position to say a word.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I
Okay.
respect that.
Yeah. If the candidates want to put it out there, that's fine. We cannot say a word, even if it has been already publicly announced through the paper or however they choose, that's fine. But we cannot until that announcement's made.
Well, I'm glad we're talking about this now. I don't
Yeah.
want to get fired.
So, okay.
Oh, are we done in this one?
I'm making sure. Yes, I covered everything.
Okay. Okay, Shannon, let's go on to the update of election 2021.
Okay, so I would like to announce that the Carroll County Board of Elections informed me that they are going to provide services through the entire time the polling places remain open for each municipality.
Awesome.
Here.
Oh,
Yes.
wow.
Good. Oh, that's great.
Yes. So, therefore, if we do have any issues that arise throughout the evening hours, and we definitely feel uncertain about something, or it's definitely a questionable situation, I will have contact information for you to contact someone at the Carroll County Election Board. So they're going to have designated people taking care of that. So I'll share all that information on election day. So
Okay, good.
yes.
Wonderful.
Mhm.
So and then also as we move forward with the election process, and having the mayor appoint election judges, I would suggest that we discuss the amount of judges that we should have this year. Because I want to make sure that we are preventing having not going over the capacity limit with also voters coming into the community
Mhm.
center, especially because the community center is so much smaller than the fire department.
Yeah.
So this is something I want everyone to think about, and we can definitely discuss in a meeting coming up, because I mean, anything could change between now and then too. So this might need to be a discussion as we come, as it gets closer. And what we could do is, if we find that we're not sure as it gets closer, what we can do is just whoever else comes on as election judges, we can just let them know, like, hey, if the regulations change, we may have to call you off. Like, you may not, be able to call an election judge, just to give everybody, a consideration and, let them plan accordingly. So, because a lot could happen between now and May. The other concern that I have is John Street Course has shared that there is a possibility they may not be open to the public by the time our election comes around. So I,
Who is this?
John
fire.
Street quarters, the fire department.
Fire department.
Oh, okay.
The John Street quarters is where they usually hold their
Oh,
events.
John Street
Yes.
quarters. Okay, I thought you were talking about
Sorry,
somebody.
I always say John Street quarters because that's,
I thought, who is he?
yeah, no,
Sorry.
it's the fire department.
Gotcha.
So yeah, because they've been shut down to the public as well.
Yeah.
So if that happens, I want us to start thinking about and discussing a backup plan. Before we start our discussions, you're okay. Before we start our discussions, I think that I really would like to talk to the city attorney first too, because there is language in our, can't remember if it's the charter or the code, portion, where it does state, about having designated polling places. So I just want to double check with her as far as a timeline goes, especially if, in this circumstance, if we sign the agreement with them and we can't open to the public, and we may not know that until as the time gets closer. Not only do I not want to cause confusion for voters that want to come in person, but I also, I don't want to go against anything on our side, as far as the timing goes. So I don't know if we just need to book something completely different now, or how exactly that should work. So I'm going to talk to the city attorney about it and see if maybe I did bring this up during the forum. Everyone there definitely said, get a backup plan going. Like, definitely take a look at this, get a backup plan going.
Mhm.
Definitely don't take that chance.
Oh, boy.
We could use school, right? Because they're always open.
The
Now,
what?
we could use a school,
Oh,
like a gym, auditorium.
Yeah.
the only problem with that is if they're not closed,
Yeah, the
the day
schools would
of the
be
election,
open.
Oh,
that
yeah.
may not go well with the school.
But in
Yeah.
May, there'll be, oh, you're saying with hybrid or whatever. Okay.
Correct.
They're open, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
now,
because
yeah.
they may not want the public coming into the school. Do you know what I mean?
Right, because they were having the vaccine at Winter's Mill, and now because of the situation, they've pulled that out and it's at the senior center.
Mhm.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Well, that's another consideration, the senior center.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Hmm.
wonder if the senior center would be too far out though.
I was wondering something close to the St. John's quarters.
Yeah,
or what-
that's what I'm
a
thinking.
firehouse.
You have people that walk.
Is that in the city limits? The senior center?
Oh,
No.
I see.
It is.
No, it
It
is
is.
not.
It is.
Ah,
Yeah.
It
there's-
is not. The right there, that is the intersection of Bishop Street and Stoner Avenue.
Mhm.
That is where the county starts.
Oh, then it's not in the city.
It is
And
not in the city.
I think for those who actually are, that do walk to get there, or need some other transportation, I just have concerns about them getting there, and I want to make sure we make it convenient and as close to John Street quarters as possible.
Yeah, the fire hall's the perfect place.
Mhm.
I have a thought.
What place would be large enough to do something like that? In town.
Michael, what were you did you have a suggestion?
Yeah, we're talking May 11. I'm actually wondering about some sort of outdoor tent in a parking lot.
But I thought,
Maybe with heaters in case we need them,
Mm-hmm.
but we might actually be, rain is the thing I'd be most concerned about May 11, but if push comes to shove, and I wonder about that, like instead of going in at John Street, we have a large tent with open sides so that it's ventilated.
And you
Yeah.
might still be able to use the same property. You still use John Street quarters, but
The
I mean,
parking
not
lot.
actually inside, but had the tent outside.
Mary
that's
Louise,
what I'm
do they
thinking.
have a tent? Does the
Do
They
firehouse
have
have?
a tent? Not to my knowledge,
Okay.
but
They
I
are
mean,
expensive to rent. I know that, like the bigger ones are, they're not cheap, but I mean, I'm sure it's not so outrageous that we couldn't do it.
This is ridiculous.
You're very popular, Susan.
Probably just solicitors. Well, I have a neighbor who's in the same building as I am, whose son is in the tent business. So
Oh, okay.
maybe he'd give us a break.
but,
We'll
but
give them a
having
plate.
a tent, but having a tent, you might also have to, one of the stipulations might be that you have to have porta potties also.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Because we can't, right, because we can't actually, we won't be able to leave the tent is what, right, would probably be the rule.
Well,
Yeah.
let me
Well,
look around and we can definitely get some information together and see
yeah,
if there are other places that plan to stay open.
maybe they could make an exception for this. The
Well,
fire,
and
Really, yeah.
you're talking May. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot's gonna happen till May.
I
Most people
agree.
are gonna have their vaccination, their vaccine, and
Let's all hope.
Yes.
we hope.
But I just don't want to wait until last minute. I'd rather have that backup plan because if something happens, they can't open. I want to respect them for that as well.
I agree.
So, but I can certainly ask all those questions and look into things.
That's, yeah. How many do, I don't, what would be the number of people that would be able to be in the community center at the same time? I can't think of this. I've been in there, but I can't think of the size of that room at the moment.
you mean people working or?
No,
people coming to
voting.
vote?
Like I assume if we're still doing what we're doing now, we would have to somehow limit the number of people inside at each
We
given
will.
moment.
Yeah,
How are
we,
we gonna
The
do
line,
that?
they have to be 6 foot distance. Like we have to reassure that.
Yeah.
But the good thing is they have the ramp and everything there. And the
Mhm.
way it's laid out, I feel like we could definitely have a good system and flow of how people
Mhm.
go in and out safely. Thankfully, we don't have usually a huge amount of people there at one time.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I've always been there and it's never a big crowd.
Right.
I mean,
Some
once in a
people-
while, during lunchtime, right after work, we may get a few people that are in line, but not very often.
Yeah, and I'm thinking if anything, like we'll just say only 2 voters at a time, 1 per machine. Once those people exit, then 2 more can come in.
But wouldn't we then have to have somebody at the door? And
To monitor
that's
that.
We'll have
another,
to have everybody spread out a little bit.
because you already have to have somebody signing and someone at the machine. This means
Correct.
we're gonna have, somebody on door duty.
Somebody to make sure that they're doing the 6 foot distance.
Mhm.
Yep. So, but that's,
So we-
and then we will have to get, of course, the safety gear and all that for you guys. Make sure you have hand sanitizer, disinfectant wipes, the whole 9 yards. So we'll get a list of that going too.
And you'd have to sanitize the machines after each person votes.
Which
Oh,
is why,
Oh, boy.
yeah,
Ooh.
that was another reason my whole thought with the 2 at a time, because I feel like that gives enough time in between those 2 people exiting and then the next people being signed in. It gives time to disinfect.
Well, maybe we will need more judges because they'll have different duties to do this time.
This is true too.
You
Yeah.
know, somebody to be outside monitoring who comes in, somebody to clean the machines, and they can alternate
Mhm.
and then do the books.
Right.
this
Yeah.
would really be a reason, like, to absolutely push people to vote beforehand, like as much as we can, to minimize the number of steps we have to go through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Vote
and
by-
I was thinking, and we will talk about advertising as well. When we advertise, I was thinking that we would post something on that actually specifically says about the absentee ballot and to encourage people to do that during that time when we advertise the election, that we could add something to the signs, postcards, or however we want to advertise, to encourage people to do the absentee ballot.
Yeah, well, if this virus is still bad, then I think people will be willing to do that.
I think
They'll
so,
want
too.
to.
Yep. I
But
agree.
let's hope it's not.
Yeah.
We'll say too, people might be still worried about the mail being very slow. So it would be good to have a,
Yeah.
That's true.
We did talk about that during the forum as well. Everyone there pretty much said that basically what they did is they actually went in and had a meeting with the postal service and tried to create like a relationship with them and discuss that,
Mhm.
those options, to see and make sure that that would not happen. That basically they just form a relationship with them.
Yeah.
well, Catherine Berry at Carroll County Elections, she would go to the post office herself and they would be holding it off for her and she would then pick them up.
Oh, that's a good idea. Okay.
Well, I know
I'd
this
look
is
into that.
kind of off the subject, but I had a birthday card I was sending to a friend who lives in Westminster last week. And I didn't want it to go to California and come back a week or two later. So I gave it to the guy at the post office. I said, can you put this somewhere that it won't go everywhere? And he said, yep. And she got it the next day.
Oh, wow. That's
I do it. I do my mail that way all the time. I take it in and let them
They hand
postmark it.
cancel it. And
They
he put
hand
it right
pan
in.
postmark it, and
Yeah.
if it's Westminster, they've got it the next day
right.
So
because it doesn't go anywhere else.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's all I had for that one. I'll look into those options and we can take it from there.
Okay.
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 But the next one
Well,
is
Are we still
discussion.
on, are we still on the 2021?
Sure, go ahead.
Or actually, I have to look at the agenda, maybe what I have to bring up. Where were you?
We were
B.
going on to sign advertising.
Advertising.
Okay. Yeah, I have one more thing then before
Sure.
on this topic. Oops, I just lost everybody. Hold on.
I
We
see
see
you.
you.
You see me, I'm looking at there you are. This is going to sound incredibly selfish but it's a thought. One of the, and it's quite possible that all of us would be vaccinated by May 11 or at least have one of the doses. One of the categories is continuity of government for people who are prioritized. It does make me wonder whether people who are manning the election booths would fit under that. And I don't know if the city has any connection to Ed Singer, but I was just quickly doing, I think, who knows where the vaccine, is there going to be vaccine? But a consideration might be to have election judges vaccinated, if I'm doing my math, by March 5th, the first one by March 15, if I'm doing my math correctly. I think it's 6 weeks you need. And I don't know if we would fall under continuity of government, but as we're thinking about that, I'm not, when you were mentioning PPE, I'm not thrilled about being there. It's quite possible that all of us might be vaccinated for other reasons by then anyway. I fall under education, so maybe I would have one anyway. But
Yeah, good luck.
yeah, I know, that's what I'm thinking is good luck. I mean, that's but it's just a thought if Ed Singer could be contacted about whether election judges would fit. So that's all I wanted to say on that.
That's a good thought.
I can definitely check into that.
Okay, discussion of election signage advertising. Shannon.
All right, so included in your packet, I had shared with you the signs and postcards that had previously been sent out. So what I'm going to do is I'll do a shared screen with you. So that way we can just take a look at those. I will say while I bring this up, during the forum yesterday, there were, can everyone see that?
Yes.
Yeah, print it out. Yeah.
Hold on a second.
They look very nice. I like them.
Yeah, good. Well, so during the forum yesterday, they actually shared where some of the municipalities actually, because I know we had talked about doing like a mailer where it actually lists the candidates. So some of them actually share what they did a newsletter. And they allowed the candidates to submit a bio. And then the bio was included on the newsletter, and that's actually what they sent out to all the residents within the city. So that's an option. This here is actually the same as, so this is actually the banner here, and you'll see the vote sign, it's the same thing, it has all the same information on it.
Mhm.
And then here was the postcard that we had created and then handed out. Sam from our office, she did update this for me, just to reflect for this year's election, to kind of give everyone an idea. But this is the other thing that we did, which we could still do, and then include on here about the encouraging everyone for the absentee ballots. But we could do that on here. Also, the machine demonstration, where someone could go to see how the machines work if they're interested.
Mhm.
But this is something we could go ahead and mail out ahead of time. And then once we have all the candidates, as soon as the deadline hits, we could then send out the newsletter with the bio on it.
Mhm.
So that's just some options of what we can do as far as advertising and placing things out there.
That's always a big complaint that I hear whenever we have an election.
Mhm.
We didn't see anything about the election. It should be advertised more.
Yeah, so we could definitely, because I know Wendy and I've had this discussion about making sure some signs go out on like
Mhm.
her end of the city, and expand it out even more than what we have in the past. And then the banners, try to remember offhand where we hung the banners. I know they were on the parking garage. I think it's the Longwell parking garage.
Were they
The,
across Main Street at the old fire
That's
hall?
what I was gonna ask Sue, is they put the one across Main Street?
so I can check into that. The problem in the past is that we had an event going on around the same exact time. It was already reserved for that event.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, it would be
so
the Platinum Jazz Festival downtown.
Right, so that's why we had chose the Longwell lot. And then we also did one on the side of the street department building on 27, so when people were coming
Mhm.
down 27, they could see it on the side of the building. We had one over in the green on the fencing, right there by the pool.
Mhm.
Well, we had it on the, was that Warrior Road?
Yeah.
Mind blank. Yeah, Warrior Road. So the chain link fence that goes across there. So that way everyone could see it as they would come in through that area, the main drag.
How about the
And
new office, the
east
new
side.
office building?
The new
Oh, sorry.
office building, we could certainly put something
That's
on
The
fair.
new, yeah.
there. And we could even maybe do one for I'm trying to think, maybe along Bond Street as well as Main Street. So it catches both sides.
Mhm. Both sides, yeah.
And then it's
But why do you never do the east side? Like near Birdie's or whatever?
yes, we could do that.
Mhm.
We could, so as far as the signs themselves go, the smaller ones, we could spread them out more through all the developments. I know before what we did was we actually circulated them around the street department actually did their own kind of schedule, and they would leave them in certain spots of a development, and then we would switch them around to different areas within the development. So that way they would be seen in different areas to try to catch all that traffic. Trying to think what else we've done.
How about the Carroll County Times? Do we
Yes,
put?
we'll definitely advertise them there.
Mhm.
And then once all the candidates are in, well, that'll be another advertisement. So that way everyone can see the list of candidates.
Yeah. At the
Then
fire
you have-
hall, did you mention the fire hall? Do we put a banner there?
I think we might, I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember.
It was, maybe on election day itself, I think we had a banner up,
Mhm.
but we could certainly do something there. And then also too, if we have to change the location, we can definitely make sure something's up there and post it ahead of time stating, that it's at this location now.
Right.
We do that well ahead of time.
You said too, maybe you could get some signs made that we could even stick on our lawns or in areas that we know people come.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Can I also go back and say this card that's up there, can you stick on there about the video?
Yeah,
To go on to Westminster Gov to see the demo video?
yeah, we could do that, as well as, encouraging the absentee ballots.
Right.
So, yeah, so, I mean, there's all the ideas, and like I said, we can talk about it more, especially after I find out more information as far as, what we're doing, for, the voting places as well as for the polling places as well as, the vote by mail or just doing the absentee ballot. And if we do the absentee ballots, we'll definitely make sure we highlight on here, the deadline.
Right.
So that way everyone is clear and understands when they can
Right. Yeah.
go register and submit for it.
So then on the Westminster Gov, besides the demo, maybe you should have a picture of an absentee ballot, like
Mhm.
how they would fill that out, coloring the circle or whatever.
Right. Yeah, we have to be careful with that because like one of the clerks said that the one problem she came across, and maybe if we just do it as a picture, that might be okay, but the problem she came across is even though she put sample all across it, she still had people submitting the sample.
Oh,
And what happened is then they argued with her that they had voted when all they had submitted was the sample, and she tried to explain it to them, and she just had some really irate people who did not understand it. They thought that was her actually sending out the absentee ballot itself.
No, but I meant online. So maybe they could make it so you can't print it, but you can see it.
I have to see how that works. Because I know some websites you can actually save the picture itself still and still have the capability of printing it. So we'll just have to see if there is a way to lock that so it doesn't happen.
yeah. Tell me again, how do people get their absentee ballot in there?
They can mail it in, or they can,
But where do they get it to mail in?
so they would have to request it from me.
So they would literally come and pick it up from you? Will it be online to print out?
Yeah, so it depends on the timing as to when they request it.
Okay.
So I'm trying to remember offhand how it was. Let me see if I can find, I had the ordinance up here. Let's see. So depending on when they actually ask for the absentee ballot or request it, would depend if they would have to come in person. Which I guess I would have to figure out too, if we're so close to public, how to handle that. Which I mean, I would have problem with meeting someone in the lobby.
Yeah, because I'm thinking if people think they have to actually get in their car and drive somewhere to get it, it might be discouraging. They may not want to do that.
Right, so if they requested up to a certain time frame, okay, so if it's received at least 15 days before an election, if a request by mail for an absentee ballot is received at least 15 days before an election, the city will mail a ballot to the voter 10 or more days before the election.
Okay.
If a request for an absentee ballot is received fewer than 15 days before the election, the city clerk will use reasonable effort to mail a ballot in the time for the voter to cast his or her ballot by mail.
Mm,
So we just have that because we don't want someone to mail it in 3 days prior to the election.
right.
And
Or they
expect-
could drop it off in the Dropbox, the box we were talking about.
Right, and that's why we would have them, yep,
Yeah. I mean, if they literally came to you and you gave them one, they said, well, just stay here a minute, let me fill it out and give it back to you. They could do that,
they
right?
could still have to seal it and everything, yes. They could
Yeah.
do that, but they would have to seal it up.
Yeah,
And at that point, if we had the Dropbox right there, because if I'm in the office, which I do plan to be there more frequently during that time, just to be sure everything's going okay, and you know,
Mhm.
if I'm available if somebody does want to request one in person. So what I would do is probably suggest
Mhm.
that they fill it out and they put it into the Dropbox, and then the way I could just collect them all at once at the end of the day.
Mhm. Yeah,
That's probably what I would do.
right.
Just
Okay,
to play it safe. And that way everybody's just staying together and it's not always.
Mhm.
I mean, I'll have a separate Dropbox in my office. I actually have one that has a lock and everything on it to keep them secure.
I can't remember how many absentees we had last time. Do you remember how?
Oh, it
what
was
the-
like 12. It was really small.
Yeah, it wasn't many.
For the mayor, when it was the last election for the mayor, it was definitely a lot higher. I think we were 20s.
But still, that's not very many.
Right.
But
Okay.
this time we'd be hoping for the hundreds, right?
Yeah,
And so that means we're gonna have to have a process for opening, separating, yeah,
Yeah.
we do that back at the police station, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
But like Sue was saying, we can put it, Susan, we can put it in the Carroll County Times saying, you know, please request your absentee ballot, whatever that it.
Yeah,
So,
yep. Lot to think about.
okay, so that's all I had.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, well, thank you, Shannon. And I now
welcome.
adjourn, what? Are you done? Okay, I now adjourn the meeting, and board members, I will meet you in the closed session.
Okay,
Thank
Right.
you.
See you
see
there.
you in a minute.